Hey, thanks for clicking on the video. This is going to be another episode of SNTR Gaming News talking about a really big buyout. Take Two buying Zynga, and there's a lot at play here. I do think, as the thumbnail states, Star Wars is a pretty significant part of this. If you want to make sure you're here for these discussions, make sure and hit subscribe and the bell button. I do really quick breakdowns at the beginning of these videos, and I'm not going to play any trailers because Take Two, they grab your monetization anytime you show their trailers. So the new Star Wars game is going to be theirs once the ink is dry on this contract. So I'm not going to be showing that, and usually I do like a little recording here at the beginning, but we already recorded that for the updates channel. But I wanted to give you the rundown here in the VOD in case you clicked here instead of over on my other channel. So basically what this is a buyout with the intention, I think, of doing three things that is outlined by the CEO. So the Grand Theft Auto, this is from Yahoo Finance. The Grand Theft Auto maker said it would pay a 64% premium to scoop up Words with Friends developer Zynga using a mix of cash and stock. Zynga will continue to be led by CEO Frank Gibeau, get 2 seats on Take-Two's board, and operate as a standalone label inside the company. And this is what an analyst had to say about why they're doing this now. Take-Two is using its balance sheet and equity to opportunistically buy a good mobile asset in a depressed market. And this was said by Jefferies analyst Andrew Urkowitz. Now, why are they doing this? Why would they be going after Zynga? They make mobile games, Farmville, things like this on Facebook. Their longtime CEO Strauss Zelnick told an analyst on a call that he sees several opportunities to drive synergies from the tie-up. Now, one is to bring Take-Two's top franchises such as Grand Theft Auto more aggressively to mobile platforms. We've talked about before why Grand Theft Auto 6 is so way out in the distant future, because Grand Theft Auto 5 continues to generate massive amounts of engagement and money for them, and that makes it really hard to get everybody to switch to the new game. If they are able to integrate that with mobile or launch some sort of a Grand Theft Auto mobile game, that could be significant for their bottom line. He also says that another upshot is the ability to move faster into emerging markets with free-to-play mobile games. That has to do with the picture right there. And lastly, the company sees $100 million in annual cost savings from the deal that could be reinvested or brought right to the bottom line. Now, I was having a hard time figuring that out, so maybe in the discussion we will figure out why they see this as saving them $100 million in annual cost savings. Maybe they were going to invest in mobile, and this is going to be a lot cheaper for them. You know, it's not maybe cheaper because they just bought the company for $13 billion, like $12.7 billion. But it could save them from having to grow their own, mobile development branch, or if they were outsourcing it or whatever. Now, I do think a factor here, given that they did indicate free-to-play games, is they want a piece of the Star Wars property. Star Wars as intellectual property continues to grow, with Disney scooping up basically everything, and then making the games has been really, really tough. Only a handful of companies are given those rights to make those games. And with the rise of shows like Mandalorian, Book of Boba Fett, Obi-Wan is on the way, the Star Wars franchise and intellectual property continues to grow. There is a mobile game that is launching on both iOS, Android, and the Nintendo Switch, and it is called Star Wars Hunters. Now, this would be a great way for Take-Two to own some of the Star Wars property. That's not a small feat, by the way, to not just own Star Wars property, but to own Star Wars property that is launching on one of the largest, if not the largest gaming market, which is mobile. And the Nintendo Switch saturation has been very good globally, so that is this has the potential to be a very, very big game. It is described as such. It is an upcoming competitive arena combat game developed by Zynga for Nintendo Switch, iOS, and Android. It is set to be released in 2022. The game is set after the fall of the Galactic Empire, featuring a new set of characters, including bounty hunters, rebellion heroes, and Imperial stormtroopers. So it's like a little arena shooter with Star Wars characters, kind of in the vein of the graphics of Fortnite. And so that's your update. I mean, that's what we're going to be talking about today. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. Wondering what you guys think of this buyout. Wondering, those of you that have heard about Star Wars Hunters, is that the kind of game that you would even see yourself spending any time in? Let's actually make that the poll at the top of the chat. Star Wars Hunters. Will you play this game? I'm curious if people would play this game. I ordinarily would not play a game like this. I wouldn't, all right? I don't really play battle arenas. I'm not really a PvP guy, right? But if I can play it on my Nintendo Switch and it's free to play, I could see checking it out. I really could. I could see downloading it. I could see letting my kids play for a little bit, you know, all those things. It's like, yeah, the Star Wars Hunters gameplay looks like it could be, you know, a pretty good time. Little throwaway game, run around and shoot some people as a Wookiee or a Mandalorian dressed character or something like that. And you know, I think the Nintendo Switch offers them a unique opportunity here to launch something that won't feel strictly mobile, you know. I would definitely get to play it on my kid's Switch. Right, like, I for one, I don't know about you guys, chat, I for one just can't get into mobile games. I've tried it. I tried it with that Marvel Avengers on iPad. It just felt so automatic. It just felt like it felt very much like I had to sort of let the game run itself, you know, and it was like, yeah, I don't know, this doesn't really feel like I'm doing anything. It feels like it's hard to control, you know, you're constantly touching the screen, but a game that I could run on my Switch, I would certainly check it out. Now, again, it's a battle arena, so it might not be something that I would play at great lengths, but I would certainly check it out. Yo, what's good, Feed? I see you in the chat. David Smith says, I was already trying to get into the beta. Butter says it's all on your phone. Well, no, not in this case. You would be able to play it on the Nintendo Switch, and that would be, I think that would be a pretty big deal, you know. I got a chance to look at my previous email regarding most iconic on-screen characters. Any questions? I don't know why I'm getting these emails. Like, getting pressers from, like, random companies. I would check it out on the Switch if it's free. I said good morning to Feed. Good to see you in the chat. If it's free to play on the Switch, strange. Yeah, it would be free to play on the Switch. There's free to play games on the Nintendo Switch right now. Yeah. I don't play any game like this. Why would I play it? Just because it's Star Wars? Yeah, it depends. Like, you might not play mobile games, but one of the main reasons people don't like mobile games is the lack of the good controls. And if you could play it on a Nintendo Switch, I wonder if that would change people's minds about it. That might be a great catalyst for people to play, you know, given the controllers. I mean, you can get a nice Pro controller. It's very similar to an Xbox controller in size and shape. I really like my Nintendo Switch Pro controllers. Matthew Johnson was 7 months. Welcome back. Is it only for mobile and Switch? Yes. iOS, Android, and Nintendo Switch. Yes. I don't own a Switch and would rather play on PS5 than Android. Yeah, I totally get not wanting to play on mobile, but mobile is a gigantic market. I mean, it is absolutely enormous. More than a few third-party Switch games feel like mobile games already, don't they? Yeah, depending upon the graphics. I mean, if you talk about the graphical, you know, fidelity of games on the Nintendo Switch, I mean, they got Doom, and it looks like, I mean, they lowered the graphics. It's 30 FPS. It's not exactly the kind of system that you would think would have really, really high-performance games on it. I found this story to be interesting for there's like two levels operating here. Everybody, you know, kind of poo-poos mobile games, but mobile games are an enormous market, and Take Two very aggressively buys, you know, a company for $12.7 billion. Did you say 64% premium, as in they paid that much over the estimated value of the company? That's definitely a purchase centered around their expertise and not their IPs. So you're saying they paid that much over the estimated value of the company? Well, hang on, let me read it again. Let me read the statement here from Yahoo Finance. Said it would pay a 64% premium to scoop up Zynga using a mix of cash and stock. So it said, a 64% premium, as in they paid that much over the estimated value of the company. Is that what that statement means? Like, I'm not a financial analyst. So when they say they bought it at a 64% premium, they overpaid? Because the analyst here from Jefferies, this guy Andrew Urkowitz, he says, Take Two is using its balance sheet and equity to opportunistically buy a good mobile asset in a depressed market, right? Well, what does that mean? That doesn't sound like they're overspending. It sounds like they're taking advantage of a depressed market and scooping something up. I don't know how else you take that. couldn't you say they're buying it for 64% of the valuation? They're paying for less. They're buying it for less than what the valuation of the company is. Like I said, I'm not a financial analyst, but an analyst said they're buying a good mobile asset in a depressed market. What's the phrase depressed market mean? Depressed market. Let's get a definition here. A depressed market, the situation when the price of a product is low because an industry is producing a large supply of its product, but has a lower than usual number of buyers. The company has struggled with a surge in wood pulp and the energy costs and depressed market for paper products. So no, I don't think that I don't think they overspent here. I think they got a deal. That's how, oh boy, percentages again, right. It sounds to me like they got a deal. If the market's depressed right now, if their stocks, Zynga stocks are rising, weren't they down before this? I saw that they were rising. I saw people being like, oh my gosh, Zynga's on the rise right now. Was that after the buyout though? If I'm paying a premium for something, generally it means I'm spending more than what it's worth. Zynga used to be a 12 a share and dropped 50%. I believe they recently shot up though. I don't know when it shot up. When was this announced? When was the ink dry on this? Zynga stock here. Let's take a peek. Oh, Zynga stock is way down. Zynga Incorporated stock looks like, let's go 1 month. Oh yeah, it's skyrocketed on January the 7th. So all the way from December of last year to now, it was around $6, and it jumped way up to like $8.50 between January the 7th and January the 10th. So it shot up after the news, yeah. So if you were owning some of that stock in large quantities, then that's pretty nice. It might be a good time to buy. I mean, I don't know. I'm not a stock analyst, but it might be a bad time to buy. I don't know. Whenever they rise and fall like that, it's like, wow, like it's like a straight line right up. They paid so much. Yeah, the day after Take Two bought it, it shot up from about it shot up to $8.44 from $6. So it had a nice little uptick there. Nice little uptick from where it was previously. They paid so much because you have to generally pay a 5 times multiple for a purchase like this, and with money being cheap and inflation what it is, it seems reasonable. Zynga has been down also. They got a deal because Take-Two allowed Zynga 45 days to shop for a better one, which is unusual in these types of deals. So basically, Take-Two gave them a month and a half to shop around and find a better buyer. So, Eugene might be right. They may have paid over the valuation of the company because Take-Two sees something like promising here. I'm not saying they bought them for Star Wars. I obviously put that on the thumbnail to get people to come in why would they buy them for Star Wars? I think Star Wars is a part of the idea here. A Star Wars mobile game that's going to hit iOS, Android, and Switch, and it's really, really hard to own Star Wars property right now. It's really, really tough. And so that's a roundabout way to end up with a really, really profitable Star Wars game. Not only that, integration with Grand Theft Auto. If they want to have a Grand Theft Auto mobile game or integrate it with Grand Theft Auto 5 or lay really good groundwork for mobile integration with Grand Theft Auto 6, I mean, now's the time to do it. Grab this company, get their expertise, and have them take a look at all of your Grand Theft Auto plans and assets and be like, listen, what can you do for us here? And it said it was going to save them $100 million annually. That might have been because they were either having to outsource the expertise or hire or expand or do their own R&D. And now they're going to be like, yeah, we don't really need to do that. Just have Zynga do all that. We own them now. When I was looking at revenues and then comparing it to Bethesda's acquisition, it didn't make sense. Right. Bethesda's acquisition. So this was $12.7 billion for this acquisition. Okay, so what was it for Bethesda? Bethesda was It was in the billions, wasn't it? Was it 3 or 4 billion, or it was 7 billion? I can't remember now. We covered it and I forget the figure. Harry says, I think Eugene is right. The game doesn't look like anything crazy. It probably won't blow up. Sounds like Take-Two are mainly investing in the company and the team that work there. I would not underestimate a game like Star Wars launching globally on iOS, Android, and Nintendo Switch. It was 7 billion. Okay, I thought, okay, it was 7 billion. I had 7 in my mind and I thought, well, that's awfully strong. That's awfully high. You know, am I just cutting the figure in half roughly from the Take-Two figure? I would not underestimate a Star Wars property that is free. Star Wars Hunters gameplay looks decent, and again, the mobile market is enormous. Even if Star Wars Hunters does like moderately well, doing moderately well in the mobile market is nuts. It is nuts. You also have to think about how successful Call of Duty Mobile and like PUBG Mobile have been. I mean, the mobile market can generate insane amounts of money in very, very short order, and Star Wars is like globally beloved. You know what I mean? It's not like, it isn't a Western thing. It isn't an American thing. Star Wars is loved like everywhere. Let's see. Hey, we ordered some coffee. Our first coffee order of the day from Billy Jack. Thank you very, very much, Billy Jack, for the first order of light roast today. Make sure and get your restocks on your coffee. Frickmas is getting kind of low. Rageless roast, dark roast is getting kind of low. We're getting the dark roast restocked, but once the Frickmas blend is gone, it is gone until next fall season. And we're working on getting a spring summer flavor for you guys as well. China doesn't like Star Wars? I don't know about that, man. Star Wars is very, very popular IP. I think Star Wars is popular pretty globally. Now, it's not quite as popular as Marvel characters are globally. Obviously, you know, when you have Spider-Man's is more globally probably popular than Star Wars, because of the history of Marvel and, you know, and Star Wars having its history rooted in Western cinema, sure, but still, I mean, even if this Star Wars game does like okay in the mobile market, and consider Nintendo Switch saturation is very, very good, and it's a game perfectly built for that kind of environment, that's so much money. That is so much money. The dark roast is delicious. Thank you. PUBG only does well in China, really. I don't see North America playing PUBG content. It's an Eastern market, really. Still. Have you matured enough yet to see that the prequels are better than OT yet? How? No. What do you mean matured? Do you mean regressed into a child? The prequels are awful. They're not better than the original trilogy. Are you insane? Have you watched Mandalorian or Book of Boba Fett? They are all made with the same tone, grit, and feel of the original trilogy. Nobody wants anything to look or smell like the prequels because they're disliked so much. Everything about the newest Star Wars and the most praised Star Wars content as of late, whether it's Rogue One, Mandalorian, or Book of Boba Fett, or even Jedi Fallen Order, it all feels like the original trilogy. None of it feels or looks like the prequels. Ugh. Matasbo with 3 months of membership. Double Dip Club. Keep up the awesome work, Lono. Thank you. Yeah, I've been trying to start on time, but I had to record this morning. We have a video hitting this afternoon on Presents. Disguised Toast got hit, and we're not sure if it's going to be for as long as he's claiming. I think a lot of this is I think it's just a lot of bogus stuff, but we'll see. We shall see, but I had to record that this morning. I was comfy on my couch with a drink in my hand last night when the news hit, and I was like, well, I ain't making a friggin' video now. That wouldn't be very good. So I made it this morning. So you can look forward to that coverage this afternoon. If you're just tuning in, make sure and take the poll at the top of the chat. Would you play a game like Star Wars Hunters? I'm not going to show any trailers because now that Take-Two owns it, they'll demonetize the video if you show any footage at all. Anytime I've shown a single Take-Two trailer, they claim my whole video. And I'm like, no, I don't think so. I'm not going to let you do that, considering how well some of these VODs are doing once we're not streaming. I'm not going to let you take money out of my pocket. You have enough. We don't need all the lightsaber waving of the prequels. Yeah, I was joking with you because I know you love the original trilogy, but the prequels are more like trilogies these days in polls and that. they're the more liked trilogy, I doubt. Severely doubt. You're not pulling Star Wars fandom and getting that response. You're putting your polls in strategic places. There is no way that if you set up an actual Star Wars fandom poll, there's no way those trilogies fare as well. It's not possible. Unless the younger generation is more aggressively taking those polls and the older generation just doesn't really care. I don't buy that at all. No way. The Star Wars fandom has there are significant pockets of Star Wars fandom that would like those to be retconned and made anew. Yeah, you're not joking. What poll are you referring to? I don't think I've ever interacted with anybody within the Star Wars fan base that's like, yeah, I've really changed my mind about the prequels. They don't age well. The more you watch them, the worse they get. Like, your first watch, you're like, oh, that wasn't terrible. Then you rewatch them and you're like, my gosh, these are horrible. It's because these kids grew up watching Star Wars and now adults, and they started with the prequels. I mean, that could be it, that the generational shift has happened, but man, you gotta retcon those. They're so dadgum bad. I'm glad they're letting Hayden Christensen reprise his role as Anakin, because it wasn't his freaking fault. It was horrible writing. It had nothing to do with him, you know? Prequels are more popular with the age demographic that grew up with them, but maybe not the fandom as a whole. We're right, and that's kind of unfair. Like, if you were, 9 years old and watched the prequels, well, then of course you're going to like them more. You don't have a frame of reference. You just, that was Star Wars to you. I really liked most of The Last Jedi. The kid with the broom in the end shot, though, that's terrible. That's your biggest gripe with The Last Jedi? Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. The chat is split a little bit on this game, though. Star Wars Hunters, if you're interested in Take Two buys Zynga, I am postulating that one of the reasons they wanted Zynga is Zynga has a planned Star Wars game. Star Wars Hunters gameplay has recently been revealed and announced. It's coming in 2022. An Android, iOS, and Nintendo Switch game that looks pretty promising. And honestly, owning Star Wars property is very, very good for your pocketbook these days. So, prequels are better than the last three? No. These debates are so silly. Like, there are actual legitimate cinematic directing and writing problems with the prequels. Like, the last three are just jacked up because they had three different directors. Like, but that's not, you can't look at them and say they're cinematically bad or they're paced poorly or written poorly. You know what I'm saying? You could watch the middle movie and be like, wow, what happened to all the character arcs and story trajectories? But you can't be like, oh, it's poorly written and poorly acted and paced and poorly directed. You could say it's poorly directed because he didn't pick up where the first movie left off, but there are genuine movie critic level problems with the prequels. They're bad movies. It's not even about they didn't do what I wanted as a Star Wars fan. They're garbage. They're actually bad movies. How is this even a question? Just watch them with a film critic and listen to what they have to say. They're truly terrible. Yeah, The Last Jedi does have some pretty bad pacing and some pretty bad stuff in it, for sure. But yeah, no, we're not going down the Jar Jar thing. I can't do it. I can't afford, my sanity can't afford to do it. If you're just tuning in and you've never been here before, we'd love to hear from you. We're talking about Take Two buys Zynga for about almost $13 billion, $12.7 billion. And there's a variety of reasons that they did this. They said that, there was a depressed market, so they gave them 45 days to find another buyer. And they want to get their Grand Theft Auto property integrated into the mobile market. They want to be able to grab emerging, technologies and trends with free-to-play mobile games. And they also are going to be saving $100 million a year, it said, with this purchase, which means, they're already making some of the money back pretty quickly with their savings. And this again could be, I couldn't find specification for how it was saving them $100 million. It was like, well, I don't necessarily understand how that's happening. I see this as two paths. Take-Two wants GTA and their sports games stronger in mobile, so buying this is a W. And EA has Star Wars, and now so does Take-Two. This is a W for them. Yeah, it really is. I mean, there really is two prongs to this. You think about, Grand Theft Auto 5 and all of the Take-Two sports games. That level of integration with mobile can be absolutely huge for them and their profitability. And then secondly, listen, EA and Disney getting to pretty much stranglehold Star Wars, that's irritating to other people. There are people that would like a piece of the Star Wars pie, and I think it makes sense. It's a giant IP. It has a lot of draw. Its fans are very loyal. And you can see Disney's plans to just continue to just crank out Star Wars content. It makes sense for people to say, man, it'd be great to have a Star Wars game, A lot of money to be made there, especially a Star Wars game on, mobile and the Nintendo Switch. Like that's a pretty friggin' big market. It could the Star Wars hunters. It could do poorly, and it'll probably still make them a ton of money. Because the market's so huge. It's just enormous. Has anyone watched a trailer for this game? It's Overwatch. You think it's like Overwatch? Well, it's third person, so it is a little bit like Overwatch in some respects. I guess you could say it's kind of like Fortnite, Overwatch, and Star Wars Battlefront had a baby. Like smash all those games together. Certainly see some similarities there. Interested to see what chat thinks. Take that poll at the top of the chat. If you want to talk in chat, you do need to be a subscriber. Subscribing is free. And we'd love to hear from new folks that are like, man, I don't know about mobile games. I just can't play them. Well, being on the Switch, I think, makes a bit of a difference. I can see downloading and installing this and letting my kiddos play for at least a little bit. They lose interest in games pretty quickly where there's other people and you can die, and they don't like that. Like, my daughter would run around in Fortnite Creative, and she hated when the bots would mess with her because she just wanted to, find stuff and tear houses down, Look at 1 minute 20 seconds. It's the bomb moving across the map mode, and the maps are so small. Well, yeah, I mean, and that's the thing. You have an accessible mode. You have something that's familiar. You have nice small maps. That makes it really accessible to people. And then I think that's how you get a game like this to become popular. You make it accessible. You make it very, very, very familiar. And yet I think the characters look cool too. Like there's some new characters. It really reminds me of the animation in Clone Wars. They're basically taking just characters out of Clone Wars and throwing them in here is what it looks like. I'm not saying that they're doing that, but it certainly looks like that. Basic concepts are going to be similar in many games. Oh yeah, of course. That game mode isn't Overwatch exclusive. Team Fortress 2 did it first. Yeah, I was going to say, I didn't think Overwatch was the first one to do that. Are any Overwatch type games still doing well? Well, I don't know. I mean, it just really depends, because I think arena shooters are on the way back. Now, like a battle arena where you have an objective and different things that you're doing, the question you have to ask is, battle royales are super popular right now. And I think there's room for other types of games. I think there's room for, there's room for games that don't do what everybody else is doing. I think that's one of the biggest, problems with the gaming market a lot of the times is people do one of two things. They're like, oh, well, isn't this old? Isn't this outdated? Isn't this, haven't we seen this before? And then if you do something incredibly new, then everyone's like, well, no one's going to like this. This is incredibly unfamiliar. This seems really inaccessible. And then there's the battle royale market, and everybody kind of groans and rolls their eyes. They're like, oh, here comes another battle royale. I think no matter what, you're always going to have the sort of entrenched loyalists to the status quo that question the new. There are going to be people that, don't like the status quo. But then there's also going to be people that see similarities everywhere, and they feel like any game that comes out is generally just too similar or too much like another game. we've talked about this with the metamorphosis principle and how we've gone through a metamorphosis with games insofar as like we expect every game to give us a new, never before experienced, experience every time, because that's largely been our experience with gaming. The jump in technology from even each Nintendo system was so great that, all, like clockwork, every couple of years, you were having a very, very different gaming experience. That has slowed down now. A game that you bought 3 or 4 years ago and a game that you buy today, there's a lot of similarities between them in the graphical fidelity and the performance and in how good they are and the length of play. Go back 3 or 4 years ago and buy an Assassin's Creed and or Horizon Zero Dawn. And you buy a lot of the third-person action-adventure open-world games now, and they're not that far removed from that quality, size, and substance. And I think a lot of people are saying, like, oh, nothing's new under the sun. And I think that's because we're expecting every game to, like, break through the barriers of the current technological constraints of gaming. And we think that if they don't do that, they're somehow failing. Now, yeah, BRs are on the way out. It's written everywhere. I don't think BRs are on their way out. I think BRs have hit their ceiling. And here's what I mean. I think Battle Royales are now, they've done two things. It's a saturated market, so there's that what that leads to is less new titles trying to do Battle Royale. And I think because they've hit their ceiling, you're just going to see less innovation within Battle Royale. A lot of these games are just going to kind of continue cycling through, update the map, throw in some new modes. That'll probably be about it. So then you look at Call of Duty's plans with their next Call of Duty, and if the leaks are to be believed, they're wanting to branch out into something that's less like Battle Royale and more like Tarkov, an open-world, loot-based sort of survival game, right? And I think Battle Royales are not dying. I don't think they're shrinking, but I think the market's so saturated, you're going to see very few companies trying to do that. I think you're going to see a rise in arena-style combat because I feel like that section of the market is less populated now. Because if you're going to play an arena shooter right now, you either have to play something like Valorant, which is a tactical arena shooter and it's PC only, or you've got like Halo and Splitgate. And Halo and Splitgate have done very well, it seems. Splitgate had a rise on the PlayStation 5 just when Halo Infinite launched, which means people are kind of hungry for arena. Wait for Docs BR. I mean, Docs BR could be massively successful because he will have such an amazing marketing funnel that it'll be like when Apex hit the stage. If you have a really good marketing funnel and your product is also good, well, then you're set up for a huge success. Apex, I think, would have had a really hard time if they would have gone through a traditional marketing route and tried to convince everybody to come play it. I think their marketing strategy is really one of the reasons it was so successful. They knew they had a good product. I mean, Respawn knows how to make a really good shooter. We've seen that with Titanfall 1 and 2. And they had a great product. And it was like, listen, if we get this in the hands of streamers, they'll sell it for us. We won't have to do anything. They'll have fun. It'll look good, So this Star Wars Hunters game, being more of like a battle arena, similar to like an Overwatch, I don't think it's out of the scope of what people play these days. And I also think, especially if you're going to be playing on mobile and a Nintendo Switch, I think it stands to reason that people are going to say, look, this is more accessible. I just like a quick throwaway game. I'm playing on my Android or my iPhone. I don't need a battle royale that lasts for 35, 40 minutes. I don't need that intensity. I need something fun and lighthearted. I'm gonna run around and my little guy's gonna say like "Hootiti" and all this other stuff. And I think that makes for a potentially more successful game because you're excuse me, it's more accessible to the common gamer. The average person jumping into a battle royale these days either knows exactly what to expect or is like, oh, here we go again. Here's another game where I got to commit, 35 minutes. There's a lot of hiding. There's a lot of camping. The map is huge. I think sometimes people are just looking for that quick throwaway game. I mean, if you think about the popularity of mobile games, I would imagine that they're popular because they're so consumable. They're so quickly thrown away. Think about what we learned just the other day. that Fortnite's community breakdown, mobile and Switch, weren't very popular, and it blew me away. Why? Because the mobile market's huge, and mobile PUBG and mobile Call of Duty do very well. Why? Because the people that it appeals to at that level, like they're grabbing their Switch or their mobile phone, they probably are like, I don't like this. either the controls, or they're looking at the game and they're looking at their mobile device and they're like, I'd rather play something quick and throw away than play Fortnite. If I'm going to play Fortnite, I'm going to sit down and have a controller and get comfortable and use a mouse and keyboard or a controller on my console, and I'll be in there for the long haul, you know. I still think Massive should release that survival mode from Division 1 as a standalone. Yeah, maybe, or just turn the whole map in Division 1 into the whole thing, you know. Jump in, jump out games, log in, play around, log out. Right. Exactly. Justin says, I do not enjoy player versus player, which is why I'm not a fan of Battle Royale and Arena Gaming, because the BR and the Arena Gaming is just way too player versus player. Yeah, if you're not a PvP fan, then the game like this is going to be an immediate turnoff to you, because that's literally all there is. There is no other avenue for enjoyment in these games. You're not going to be able to like boot up and go on missions or something, right? I mean, that's that's not the way they're built, you know. It's built for you to be playing against other people. Eugene's casting spells in chat. Yeah. Until stream audiences lose interest in watching streamers play BRs, they won't be losing much popularity in committed audiences unless individual games fall through. This is how I look at BRs from a streaming perspective. I think battle royales from a streaming perspective are like live sporting events. Live sporting events will always have a pretty good draw for one particular reason. People just really, really like to watch. They're just like, this is really enjoyable. It's really intense. And the drama and the narrative of, you know, the drama and the narrative of a battle royale, I think it takes that sporting event feel and it puts it into a video game. And the problem with arena shooters for your day-to-day streams is they feel a little bit more like a meat grinder. They're more repetitious. It's more samey. You watch one stream and this guy's doing stuff and it feels very, very similar to like the next guy who's playing the same arena shooter. Like the maps are small, the gunfights feel very similar, the games are pretty quick, the scores are always pretty close. There's not these big hero moments, right? If you think about live sports, a guy can make an amazing catch or play, there can be a big foul, there can be a crazy turnaround, there can be, you know, all these things that take place. And I think a battle royale is just a better catalyst for that. It's just a better catalyst. It's like there's you as soon as you tune into a battle royale, you see the score, you see like how many kills they have, how many people are left, how much time is left, where they are on the map. Is the timer counting down? Is the storm like shrinking? You don't have to ask any questions. The UI of the game tells you everything. It's like when you tune into a sports game. Right at the bottom of the screen, it's like, what quarter is it? How much time is left? What's the score? Who has the ball? What down is it? Like, you're not in the dark. You're not like, oh man, this baseball game, I don't know what's going on. No, you know the inning, you know the outs, you know the strike and ball count, you know the score. It's all right there. Boom. And a battle royale does that. It like immediately orients you to what's going on. You're like, boom. You're like, oh, here we go. We've got this great match brewing. It's really close. We're in a top 10 situation, and this guy's, you know, in a really tough spot because he's down in the valley or whatever. And the intensity immediately is communicated to your brain. Well, that's why battle royales are going to be around for a long time, because it's basically, you know, your day-to-day sports watching of video games. There's an unmatched level of drama and intrigue. Yeah, because you're immediately okay. Even if they're just now dropping out of the plane and nothing has happened yet. Well, are they hot dropping? Are they stretching? Are they goofing around? Are they playing with a squad? Are they playing by themselves? All those things are right there in front of you. You don't have to be told what's going on. When you tune into an arena game, you're like, I don't know what's happening. Is it a close game? Is it intense? Like, I mean, and then some of the arena shooters are good. They're starting to put the score up at the top of the screen so you know what's going on. You're like, oh, it's a close game or it's an absolute wash. But ignore that. The gameplay is just immediately familiar. It's like, yep, he's in a hallway shooting somebody else in a hallway. He's in a room and he's shooting somebody else in a room. In a battle royale, you're like, well, I don't know what's happening. Oh man, he's getting shot at, or where's the enemy? Or it's, every game is very, very different. I think that the big open nature of a battle royale is it creates a greater sense of potential, and arena shooters are pretty constrained. So this Star Wars Hunters game, I mean, Take Two buys Zynga for their own mobile aims and their own mobile efforts, because they're like thinking, well, Grand Theft Auto integrating with mobile would be huge. A Grand Theft Auto mobile game could be insanely popular. And then you look at the ease of an arena shooter. You have to think about something. Like Star Wars Hunters being on Android, iOS, and Switch, they're not looking for streamers to be playing this game. They're not looking for the intrigue and the drama. They want something that's quick, throwaway, fun, and then it's free to play, so they can get you to spend some money. They want you to spend some money. I mean, that's the whole point, isn't it? That's why they make a game free to play on mobile, because all market research points to like micro spending going way up on a game if its entrance is free. If it's a free to play game and the entrance is like, yeah, you can just come in and download the game and try it out, check it out, and if you decide that you like it, well then there you go. You're off to the races. Now they feel like they can spend, $20 here, $20 there, because they're like, well, I didn't spend $60 on the game like I ordinarily would have, so they'll be willing to part with their pennies at a greater rate. And this is one of the reasons that mobile games are so popular and so profitable, because it removes the consumer from the sense of spending money, and it removes you from the sense of spending time. How easy is it for you to lose track of time when you're on your phone, right? Now, you can lose track of time when you're gaming, but it's a little bit different, because you're sitting up, you're aware of the room around you a little bit more. You got people coming in and out, or, the sun setting, like you can see it kind of in the window. Like you're more aware of the passage of time, I think, when you're playing like a more traditional game, like a console game or like a mobile game. And in that lane, I think that it's a lot easier for people to pull their phone out and lose track of time, because you're like this, you're locked in. It's hard for you to hear what other people are saying. It's extremely easy to be distracted. That's why, you shouldn't pull your phone out while you're driving, because it's incredibly dangerous. And so, these games stand to make a ton of money, because you don't even really catch that you just spent 20 or 30 minutes playing. And you don't catch that you spent, $5 or $10 over the course of a week buying little trinkets and gadgets in the game, You get bored of PvP within 5 minutes or less, especially in GTA Online. I refuse to be drawn into a gunfight. I've no chance to win. I also do PvP with online cheaters. I mean, it sounds like you just don't like PvP, though. So, I mean, I wouldn't expect you to, like, I don't know. I don't know. It definitely makes sense to just avoid PvP if you don't like it, What would mobile GTA compete directly with GTA Online, or to be two different audiences that could coexist? I mean, that's a good question. So they could take Grand Theft Auto Mobile and launch it as a completely separate game, completely separate experience, because the name Grand Theft Auto is so brand recognizable. Grand Theft Auto Mobile could be a completely self-contained game. They could also do a companion game. So a companion game would allow you to do things and earn things and then hand it over to your character in the main game. And then that's how they would kind of get you, right? You're more heavily invested in your character in Grand Theft Auto 5. You're more heavily invested in that world. Well, if you get a companion game where you can do things and buy things or earn things and then hand them over, then that's a great integration level to where people would, again, as we just said, they'd lose track of time. They'd lose track of how much money they're spending. Why? Well, they love Grand Theft Auto, and this companion app, if they do all these little things, it's going to get them, unlocks and, cool things in the main game. What is Star Wars Hunters? Star Wars Hunters is a game being developed by Zynga. So Take Two buys Zynga for $12.7 billion. And they want to have, mobile integration or mobile representation with the Grand Theft Auto IP. But they also want to be able to grab emerging, trends with free-to-play mobile games. Well, Star Wars Hunters is, being developed by Zynga. And the Star Wars Hunters gameplay, it's already viewable. You can go to their website, you can check it out. I'm not going to show any of it because anytime Take-Two owns property, they don't let you show trailers and footage. I see that as playing a role here. They're like, listen, it's really hard to own Star Wars property. We buy Zynga. We're going to own a game that is one of the most popular IPs in existence, Star Wars, and it's going to be landing on one of the largest markets for games in existence, mobile and the Nintendo Switch. Like, the Nintendo Switch saturation is very, very good. It's up there, like, what is it, like underneath the PlayStation 4 or something. The Nintendo Switch has done excellent with market saturation. And so when you combine that with a really accessible, free-to-play game that is attached to one of the most popular, franchises around, well, then you're able to probably make a very good amount of money. Now, I don't think that the Star Wars IP, the Star Wars Hunters game, is the primary reason, but I think it was a factor. It was like, look, we want to get GTA, mobile integration. We're looking at all these mobile companies out here. What's the company that seems the most, reasonable to buy? Well, what probably tipped the scales for Zynga is the Star Wars game. Because they're like, look, these guys know what they're doing. They've been in the mobile market a really long time. They can help us with Grand Theft Auto, and double whammy. Not only are we going to get an expert level mobile gaming company, we're also going to get a Star Wars game in the process. Like, that's like an extra prize in the bag. You know what I'm saying? It's like, wow, like, we were looking at a handful of mobile game companies because we really want Grand Theft Auto mobile integration, and we really want to get into the mobile marketplace because it's very, very lucrative and very, very potentially, beneficial and profitable. So, well, Star Wars as well? Oh, okay. If you're looking at two mobile companies and you're looking at buying them to help you with your mobile gaming development, and you see Star Wars Hunters, you're like, well, that certainly makes this company look a lot nicer. Let's take a crack at them. The Nintendo Switch is about 20 million behind. So the Nintendo Switch is hovering around, 100 million units? Like, that's so many. 100 million Switch market saturation, and then you combine that with the mobile market of both iOS and Android. As I said, Star Wars Hunters could do moderately well. The Star Wars Hunters release date is set for 2022. Who knows? Late summer, fall. It could launch. It could do moderately well, and it would still be insanely good for their bottom line. 92 million. Okay, so it's hovering around 100 million. It's not the cake nor the icing. The Star Wars is maybe the sprinkles. I'm telling you, it tipped the scales. There's no way they were looking at buying mobile game companies, and a Star Wars property landing on mobile and Switch wasn't a scale tipper. Like, you know what I'm saying? If you're looking at two different companies, and one company is making a Star Wars mobile game, you're thinking, we don't own any Star Wars property. It's really hard to own Star Wars property. We're about to own Star Wars property if we can get these guys to agree to a purchase. I think people are underestimating the profitability of a well-built Star Wars mobile game. It's they like, think about it like this. They're presuming, and they're already assuming, they're like, oh, we know we want to get Grand Theft Auto mobile integration or gameplay at some level. We know we're going to do that, and a litany of these mobile companies can help us with that. They understand the landscape, they understand the technology, they understand the monetization and the approaches that make one game more profitable than another. If there's a company that gets it, these guys get it, right? And if you're looking at two different companies, and one company is building a Star Wars game, you're going to consider that pretty heavily. You're like, well, some of these companies, I mean, it's all a wash at that point. It's like, well, they could all help us with our Grand Theft Auto mobile game or our technology integration. They can all help us with it. But these guys are building a Star Wars game, you know? My thoughts on Book of Boba Fett is it's wonderful. It's wonderful. I just grin ear to ear every time I get to watch Mando or Book of Boba Fett, because it's like we're finally getting the Star Wars that we deserve after years of just sordid prequels and let's have a different director for every movie and, you know, all the nonsense that's happened. It's like we're finally getting the Star Wars that we deserve. All hail Jon Favreau, because we have not had this level of Star Wars for years, with the exception of like Rogue One. It was definitely part of it, but I think they also took a look at how long it would take their company to become experts in that market and said it wasn't worth the money. Oh, of course. Of course. Like, is the guy playing Boba Fett the same guy that was in the movie? Yeah. They used him. So they used him in the prequels to set up basically Jango, which then sets up the clones, which then sets up what they look like and sound like. It's the same guy. Yeah, that's what makes it so cool, is like they actually managed to do something that was, it was like when they secured the guy to be Palpatine. It was like, oh my gosh, he's still around and we can make this work. We can make him look the right age, because he was so you didn't really see him much in the movies, you know. You heard him, but he was enshrouded in makeup and a cloak and stuff. So it's extremely cool that they've been able to pull it off. It's awesome. So when you hear him talk and you hear his voice and his face, like it's pretty powerful. If you're just tuning in, we're talking about Take Two buys Zynga, and I think the Star Wars game was a factor here. Kind of what Eugene just said. If the starting point is we need a mobile company to help us with this, We're gonna be spending our own money to research this, develop this, or get a department built up to do a Grand Theft Auto mobile game, right? So instead of doing that, let's buy a mobile company. So they go out and start shopping, and I think it's pretty reasonable to say that when they looked at a variety of these mobile game companies, they said, this company over here is building a Star Wars game. Are you serious? That is a very lucrative IP to be attached to right now. Whether it's, movies, TV shows, video games, trading cards, comic books, whatever. It's an amazing intellectual property to be attached to. So I think that played a role. They were like, well, get them. They can do what we already know we need. We need a mobile company to solve our problem for us. We've got to get this mobile integration. We got to get some mobile games, like between their sports games and Grand Theft Auto. It's like, well, we got to get some mobile integration here. We stand to make billions if we play our cards right. And in the process, extra prize in the bag, we're going to get a Star Wars game, and not any Star Wars game, a Star Wars game that's landing on Android, iOS, and the Nintendo Switch. It's a really, really good market. So if you're tuning in, I'm curious, does that change your mind? Would you play a game like Star Wars Hunters? Right there at the top of the chat, yes or no. It's about a 60-40 split right now. Now, for me personally, I generally stay away from mobile games because I don't like having to touch the screen. I don't tend to like the controls. But the fact that I could download this for free on my Nintendo Switch, and me and my kiddos could go and get into some gunfights as droids or bounty hunters or Jedis or whatever. I mean, it could be fun. I can't see myself spending any money in the game because it's a battle arena style game with game modes similar to Overwatch, and it's third person. I can't see myself spending any money in it, but I certainly would never have even considered it if it was strictly mobile, because of the controls. We did that Marvel Avengers, mobile game here. I did like a little video for you guys, and I played it on my iPad, and I just didn't like it. I just felt that, I just felt like I wasn't playing. There was so much about it that you could just set automatic, because they don't, it makes sense, right? They have to hold your hand to a certain degree. Like you can't really have this sense of great immersion and control on a mobile device or an iPad because, generally speaking, it's tough with the way everything goes. Like a game like Pokemon Go, it's a little bit different, right? You don't have to have elaborate controls. You're not moving around in like a 3D world and trying to shoot people. I think that's one of the things that makes a huge difference. Like, try to play Fortnite on mobile and then compare that to the ease of playing Pokemon Go, you know, or everybody's playing that Wordle game where you like try to figure out what the word is and spell it. It's actually a pretty satisfying little game, but it's browser based. The guy's got to throw it in the App Store and then just have infrequent ads popping up. He'd be making a killing. All he's got to do is use the mobile app as a launcher and then just embed the web page and then just have some ads running. I mean, he could be making a crazy amount of money. I don't know if he's running any ads on the page as it is. It kind of took off, like everybody's been playing it. He just set it up as like a little test thing. I think companion apps for games can add a lot, though. Zubair says, needing my reading glasses breaks immersion for me. Oh, like playing on a small device, like a small mobile device? I could see that. I could see that. Sino says, I think the Game Pass model of gaming where you want might be the future of mobile gaming. Oh, it 100% is. So if you look at Battle Pass models, it's everywhere. So I got a little game that my kiddos and I play every once in a while, and it's called Home Escapes, right? And you're like repairing this little house, and you're doing these little puzzles, and it's like Bejeweled, you know, you're dragging stuff, and then I save up all these coins and then I let my daughter spend it or whatever. Now, I've not touched the game in an age. Yeah, there's even an update for it. I've not touched the game in an age, okay? But every time I boot the game up, it's doing the same thing. Hey, there's a battle pass. Hey, you unlock this thing on the free track. Hey, you got this, you got that, da-da-da-da-da. And there's a battle pass. And every time I unlock something, okay, it's throwing that in my face, right? It's throwing that in my face for me to see that, like, hey, there's this, you know, there's this free item that you got, and you could also get, a couple more, items or whatever. And that is in a mobile game. That's a mobile game that's got a battle pass, and I'm unlocking free things. And not only am I unlocking free things, but I'm constantly given the option to pay the premium and to get the premium unlocks. Now, the things that you get are items in the game, things that make your life easier, shortcuts and things like that. So, off topic, I hope you caught what I was making a cheeky joke this morning in general chat when I replied to you. Those are the job qualification work, probably apart from interview taking over 12. I don't see a cheeky joke. I didn't get upset or anything. Truth be told, those of you that continue to come and like inform me about what's going on with that community, you just need to stop. I don't check. I've blocked them all. I've blocked the official accounts. I've blocked the non-official accounts, the content creators. I have zero interest in that gaming community. They're all horrible, and my mental health and life is so much better never seeing any of the stuff that they say or do. I just don't care about them. I think they're awful, and it's been great not checking up on them. Apple Arcade's getting so much better. Yeah, I remember a couple of years ago, I was in talks with Apple Arcade to like do something like help promote their games and stuff. They were trying to get content creators to like stream their games, because it's hard. I think it's hard to get people to stream and consume mobile game content. I think it's difficult. I think it's a challenge because it is just so different than what you're accustomed to seeing a lot of the times. But I do think mobile games are coming pretty far. Like if you look at this Star Wars Hunters gameplay, if you look at it, it is not just some throwaway chintzy little game. Like it's pretty good. Like it looks like a solid little game. It's not just something that, it's not like a little click and drag puzzle game. Like it seems like a genuine video game. It really, really does. And, for all intents and purposes, the broad spectrum of gamers that are out there, this is one of the debates that people have all the time. They're like, well, mobile games aren't real games. Mobile games aren't real games. And I'm always like, sure they are. They do the same thing that your game does. They give people an opportunity for escapism, and they give people an opportunity to play something. you know, and it gives people a way to pass the time. You know, I think people denigrate and talk down about mobile games a lot of the times because they either haven't experienced a good one or they again just don't think that they're, you know, they don't think that they're worth their time. When is it releasing? Just sometime this year. So sometime this year. Mobile games can be great. The mobile markets are just flooded with the worst kind of freemium games for years. I mean, I guess I you know, to a certain extent, I think that gets overstated. I think mobile games are largely like throwaway games that you can piddle away with your time. And one of the reasons they're so jam-packed with microtransactions is because they're probably short-lived. So the idea that, like, think of all the games that Zynga is known for, right? So let's see. Zynga games, okay? So Zynga games, we've got games like Words with Friends, okay? Words with Friends, and then you've got Farmville, and then Zynga Poker, okay? Now, my memory of these games, especially Words with Friends, is it was pretty popular for about a month in my circles, and then it was no longer popular, okay? And so I think a lot of the times they're facing such a flash-in-the-pan form of popularity that what ends up happening is they have to jam it with micros. Because if not, like, you know, a month goes by and then their engagement just absolutely plummets, right? You know, it just absolutely plummets. So they have to make as much money as they can. Yeah, Mafia Wars, Farmville, of course. These are all games that were just here and gone extremely quickly, right? I get what you're saying. I didn't mean to post it in a malicious way. It's just easier to communicate updates with that game in the server. Because hardly no one is in the Destiny channel, but I don't post any more stuff like that. Yeah, it's not you, Gangs. It's kind of like everybody. Everybody wants to come and like let me know what's going on with that community, and I just think for 2022 in the future, I don't want to hear about them. I don't care. I don't care who they're trying to cancel or who they're trying to hurt. I don't care about their updates, their DLCs, their TWABs, their employees. They don't exist in my world anymore, and my world's better for it. I don't know. I continue to check and kind of see stuff in my timeline, and I just started just habitually blocking all of them. Not in like a mean way, just like, look, I never want to see you or your content ever again. You know, you're unworthy of my attention. So these are Zynga games, says Greg. What are some of these? Dragon Academy, I feel like I saw that. Golf Rival, Empires and Puzzles, Merge Games, Spider Solitaire. Man, oh man, there's just so many that feel so throwaway. They did a Tomb Raider and a Tony Hawk game. Battlestone, Lucky Train, Social Browser, a CSA Crime City game, Frontierville. I don't even see Words with Friends. I don't even see Words with Friends or Farmville on there. How do you have these sorted? By money that they've made? A lot of the franchises that we have, whether it's Words with Friends, the upcoming Farmville 3, or Merge Dragons, they're reaching audiences that traditionally a lot of the game companies haven't reached. CEO Frank Gabou said during an earnings call. They go after a different subset of players. Words with Friends and Farmville are on the second pick. We're at the top. Okay, yeah, Words with Friends at the top. I see it. And then Farmville. So Words with Friends was in December of 2010. It was in December of 2010? Really? Huh. That was that long ago. That doesn't feel that long ago. But that does make sense. I remember playing Words with Friends when I was at when I worked at AT&T. I remember playing with it there. Yeah. Not in a mean way. I just never want to see your content again in my life. I mean, it's just the way that it is. You just got to cut that negativity out. Like, just cut it out with a knife. You know what I mean? I don't say that with malice. It's just like some of these people, I don't know who they are. We never interacted, but like, If you operate in that space, I don't want to see you or your content. I just don't. Zynga.com/games has their, the world's most fun multiplayer games. So they've got the list of all their games there. Okay. Sorry to repeat, Roblox has almost 25 million subscribers and almost 1 million daily users. If you have kids between 5 and 15, they're almost certainly playing or wanting to, and that's all over YouTube. Oh, for sure. Roblox kind of came out of nowhere. Like, Roblox was growing and doing well, and all of a sudden people were like, this game is one of the most lucrative video games in existence. Like, what's going on with Roblox? My gosh, like, where did it come from? Where did it come from? Well, they just slowly allowed, curated content by the users over time to grow, and they gave people a lot of freedom, and basically, like, I believe it's like a marketplace, right? You can, like, design and sell stuff in the marketplace, can you not? I couldn't figure the game out. I got it, and my son was checking it out, and we were trying to do stuff, and I was like, this has got to be the most boomer feeling I've ever felt in a video game. I was like, buddy, I can't figure out what we're supposed to do. We were just wandering around in the dark, and there were just all these weird things set up by some person, and I don't know. It was really, really weird. My kids is all in Roblox. Roblox is also going to make a VR game. I mean, that's not surprising. I think Minecraft was looking into augmented reality last I checked. Roblox is Gary's Mods for kids. Hardly. Most people make nothing, and the company is scummy. Really? I own shares in Roblox. Prince money. I never understood the game. Well, like, we were in this little village, and we were like, okay, you could go into certain games and certain things that people had built, and they're I don't know. It was like there was just this confusing nature about it. It was like, okay, so you go in these worlds and these games, and then you end up with then you once you're in the world, there's like all these different things set up that you can go and interact with. And I was like, I don't get this. I don't get what we're supposed to do. It didn't make any sense. There's a ton of different games and environments. I felt like a boomer too, and Roblox is super toxic. Roblox is basically YouTube for video games. Roblox has been accused of, by the investigative journalism YouTube channel people called People Make Games, of exploiting child game developers by promising them huge amounts of money when they monetize their games, while only giving them little to no money in return by having high revenue cuts, an exchange rate in selling Robux lower than the rate for buying them, and the lack of methods to make their games easily discoverable. This was likened to a company script, 9394, in a discussion with Axios. Roblox chief product officer Manuel Bronstein responded by saying that Roblox's intent is to give more money to its community developers. After Roblox requested the channel to take down the video, People Make Games released further accusations of practices endangering child safety, such as a lack of official Roblox forums since 2017, resulting in the child developers being exploited by external companies for labor on external platforms such as private Discord servers, a lack of oversight of developers and method for people to address developer abuse, allowing a developer to seemingly continue monetizing and having control of game development despite having their personal account banned for reportedly doing this, and then returning the collectibles market on function gambling, refusing to help the developer whose account was hacked and had its collectibles and assets stolen, and encouraging them to seek unofficial and unsafe trading sites to obtain highly valuable items. So it sounds like they've been kind of wild westing it, just like letting it grow and become its own. It just sounds like its own little micro child-driven economy where the kids don't make any money. They don't make any money, it sounds like to me. You just described the entire music industry. So here's the developer share. Developer share is roughly 27%. App Store fees, 25%. Platform hosting and support, 14%. Platform investment, 8%. And then the Roblox share, 27%. I don't understand. So wait, do the kids not get literally anything? It's fair, says Paul. There's the developer. Oh, so the developer share gets 27%. That's assuming everybody gets that. Yeah, if they actually get that 27%, that's the question, right? That breakdown's not bad, but do you even get your 27%? Because, you know, if you make a game mode and it's super duper popular, then there you go. Guys, there's a variety of ways to support the stream. We are. It might just be the curse of January on YouTube, but we're apparently picking stinkers of topics these days. We are not getting love, but you can help us get love by smashing like and subscribe if you're enjoying the talk show. I'm here Monday through Friday, safe for work broadcaster. A lot of people treat me like video game radio. The last couple weeks coming into this year have just been killer. And I thought yesterday and today we had some bangers, and I was absolutely wrong. So we might be able to get a little bit of a tailwind here, though. If you smash that like button, roll us over to 200 likes. If you haven't hit subscribe yet, do that. Chime in the chat on the subjects today. Would you check out Star Wars Hunters? Take Two bought Zynga for $12.7 billion, and I believe the Star Wars game was not the entire reason, but I believe it was a part of the reason that they made this purchase. There's other ways to support as well. We had one coffee sale today. Make sure and restock on the Rageless Roast. All the commands down here in the corner. You can become a paying member by clicking the join command or renewing your membership. My t-shirt, Stranger Things. Apparently, we're not getting that show until July the next season, but this is from 80s Tees, and then those are disc plates. And we are partnered with both 80s Tees and Displate, so remember to always support our sponsors with those commands. 5 months going strong, says Demetrius. Keep up the dope content. Thank you, Demetrius, for 5 months. Welcome back. Is Star Wars Hunters one of the purchase hero games? I don't know if you're going to have to purchase the Hero Soldier. It is a free-to-play game launching on iOS, Android, and the Nintendo Switch. Obviously, if the characters and the players themselves, like the heroes, are behind a paywall, it would then be, one of those games that seems like, man, you make it free, sure, but then you're charging for every little piece of the game. So we don't exactly know what the structure of monetization is. It is a battle arena game with game modes similar to Overwatch, and the way they've set it up, it seems like you pick a character. You pick a hero, like there's a Wookiee, there's like a bounty hunter, there's like a Jedi, like there's all these different people, and then you go in, and then you can battle with those abilities. You can battle against other players or whatever, and try and get these things built. Now, the main reason I think the game has more potential than most mobile games is because it's also launching on Nintendo Switch. For some people, a mobile game, there's a huge barrier of entry. They don't really want to play on a mobile device. They don't like the idea. And so the Switch aspect of it, I think, could be a pretty big inroad for people, given that you have like a controller. Would Displate do one with your logo? Yeah, sure. We can set up our own shop over there. We just haven't ever done it. Noberto with 9 months of memberships. That is a tier 2 as well. Thank you, Noberto. Time flies already. SNTR Gaming, baby. Love the content. And seeing all the channels humming along smoothly this year is going to be huge. Thank you, Noberto. Okay. We sold one, yeah. Hunters is nothing like Raid Shadow Legends. It's a completely different game. I've not heard anybody compare it to Raid Shadow Legends. It looks almost to me like Fortnite and Overwatch had like a baby. It's like third person. You can see your hero. It looks very similar to like the Fortnite and the Clone Wars graphic style and graphical fidelity and character detail. And then the game modes feel similar to like Overwatch, more stripped down battle arena. Raid Shadow is actually pretty fun. Yeah, I've got approached multiple times over the course of my career to do stuff with them, and I just never wanted to. We've just not ever wanted to do that. Let's see here. Yeah, I was thinking the same thing, Creature. I think we'll get to the 2-hour mark, and I'm bailing. We're gonna have to just start doing that. We're gonna have to start protecting. We'll have to really, really start protecting ourselves. I don't know if it's January. I don't know if we're just swinging a little. Maybe we're getting a little bit too broad in our swing. We were supposed to roll over, and the magic was supposed to happen, and the opposite is happening. we're being severely punished for something. I don't know what. Again, it just could be the January effect, which is why so many YouTubers walk away in January and just take a break. So many weird game couples have babies on this channel. I know. Like, it's like this game and this game had a baby. Yeah, exactly. For sure. Our other subject today is about. Oh, I'm nervous. We can't win these days. The next one might be bad too. A new From Software game has been leaked, and we're gonna comb over the details there and look at like the legitimacy of that. That'll be our second show for the day. They own Gilded now too. Big sad. Roblox currently has 199 monthly active users. 199 million monthly active users. That's crazy. I hope Diablo Immortal is good. Everything we've heard about Diablo Immortal from the people that actually got to play it was that it actually is. It is good and it is enjoyable. Yes. Yeah, definitely. What time would we set that for? Yeah, we would set it for so people get to 30-minute or whatever. Playing Star Trek Command, so I'm now a mobile gamer. I tried recently, what was it that I tried to play recently on mobile? It wasn't the Avengers game. There was something else. And I was just like, oh, I went back and checked out Marvel Puzzle Quest. And I just couldn't do it. I was like, this is awful. It bombards you with like overwhelms your senses. It's like just so much pouring in on the screen, like all these different things. I couldn't even figure out what I was supposed to do. Marvel Puzzle Quest is actually pretty enjoyable. It's like Bejeweled combined with like RPG, RPG combat kind of a thing. And it was just like I couldn't get my head on straight. It was like they were just overwhelming me with hey, get this. Hey, download this. Get this. Get that. Blah, blah, blah. Make sure and go buy these packs. And then it just kept giving me currency because I hadn't played the game in like a super long time. So it's just like it's like overwhelms your senses. Any armored more news? There we go. Let's see here. I did not finish writing this last night. I thought I did. I guess I didn't. Okay. My kids are getting to watch a show because my wife had an appointment, so I can hear them out there. They're laughing. I don't know what they're watching. I forget what they watched recently. What they do is they watch a movie, and then you end up getting it quoted to you many times after the fact. Many times after the fact. They really like. I think the one they quoted the most recently was it was, what was it? Panda, the panda, Kung Fu Panda. It was it was a bit much. It was like it was getting quoted at me every single day. I'm not putting us in Armored Core. I'm gonna put us in Elden Ring. I know it. I don't really care. Because I can't find just like the basic, the non-numbered version of the game. It looks like it's not letting me. Some of these older games, it's always hard. It's like they weren't around at the dawn of YouTube. I'm gonna set it for 11:15. Okay. 11:15. Yes. We're gonna have to bail on this one early. We'll give it another 30 or 45 minutes, but dadgummit, when we have non-starters, I'm not gonna sit here and drag my face across sandpaper. No, I have no plans to talk about that over here. LOL. Poop Sack. I have no plans to talk about that stuff over here. Now, I got up early this morning and I recorded a video about Disguised Toast getting banned, and that is that's going to hit over there this afternoon. That's gonna hit that afternoon. Silencio, Bruno. We don't talk about Bruno. What? Anyway, that's my secret cap. I'm always quoting movies. I feel like philosophy when developing a mobile game has to be different too. Well, yeah, I mean, a mobile game, you've got UI challenges, you've got screen control challenges, like you've got to empower the player to like control the game with their thumbs on the screen while actively trying to show them things on the screen, as well as their character and the world and the enemies and everything else. So yeah, it's not easy. It is not easy to make a game like that look and run well. It just isn't, you know. Been watching this stuff on Presents, but just dig the chat discussions as well. We are trying to figure out how to do a weekly AMA over there, because obviously I'm more passionate about that stuff right now, because that stuff's very, very relevant to predictions that I've made for years about that platform. The disregard of whether it's the favoritism or the nepotism or the backroom deals or the unethical, you know, the way that they enforce TOS infrequently or inconsistently. And so obviously I'm way more passionate about that right now, but I don't want to sabotage what we do over here. And we're trying to figure out how to do a weekly show over there, probably on Thursdays, where we'd be like, all right, guys, last Friday to now, I've covered these 5 subjects. You know, let's break them down in order on the AMA. What'd you guys think of this video, right? So let me give you an example. So like last week, what we would have done is on Thursday. So let's see here. So ignore Pokey. We would have gone live and been like, all right, I've done videos about Gordon Ramsay, NFTs, Nade Shot ripping Activision. You know, Dr. Disrespect has plans for the purple platform, and Towley calls out streamers, right? And we would have had an episode where we just broke all that down in the live environment, and like, if you guys had questions, comments, or, you know, back and forth about each individual one of those things. The challenge there is like, what exactly do we call it? What exactly do we title it, tag it, and name it? Because it's one thing to do like an AMA after an episode. Like, let's say I do an episode about, you know, E3. We have a video coming about E3 and whether or not E3 is going to be digital or if it's even going to happen at all. They're not going to meet in person, but E3 is going to be digital only. Well, is it even going to friggin' happen, right? Okay, well, let's say I do that video and we do an AMA after. Well, we know what to call it, right? It's an E3, you know, 2022 digital event update AMA or something like that. No, Pokey was not perma'd. Maybe like a weekly roundup. Right. And so we'd have to call it something, and then obviously we would put all of like the titles and keywords in the body of the description so people would know what on earth I'm going to be talking about. You know, XQC, Towley, Dr. Disrespect, the purple platform, E3, Pokemon getting banned, blah, 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 blah. All that would be in the body. So we're just trying to figure that out. It's a little bit cleaner when you do an AMA like after every episode, right? When you do an AMA after every episode, it's a little bit cleaner because you can be like, all right, like, hey, I just uploaded a video about Pokemon getting banned. Let's break it down. But it's a lot harder when you're doing a recap. There's just a technical and a logistical aspect of it. It's not as simple. Now, if you're tuning in for the Take Two buys Zynga news, we've been discussing it. It was a 12.7 billion buy, and I believe Star Wars Hunters is playing a factor here. If you've never been here before, you can take the poll at the top of the chat. You can hit subscribe. We'd love to hear from you. Would you play a game like this? Star Wars Hunters promises to be a battle arena with game modes kind of like Overwatch, third person. You can play as like a Jawa, a Wookiee, a bounty hunter, a Jedi, and it's set to launch this year, 2022, on iOS, Android, and the Nintendo Switch. So curious if, for me, the Nintendo Switch changes the answer. I would say no if it was mobile only. I'd be like, nah, I wouldn't play a game like this. So I feel like you did the weekly recap before in your old format on Fridays. We're covering recap topics of the week. I think we did that for a while. Just feedback, watching the afternoon videos on Presents without having a discussion afterwards is actually kind of frustrating. And here's the thing, like, I originally thought we would go over there, watch the premiere, and always roll it over into AMA. And Creature's like, well, we can't really do that. AMA stands for Ask Me Anything. AMA is just a fancy way of saying Q&A, so I should probably say Q&A because AMA doesn't really work if I'm talking about particular subjects. Well, then you can't really do an AMA, right? But if you know every Thursday you're going to get a chance to come watch me break down and discuss live everything that we've kind of covered, then that creates a greater demand for that weekly live show. Like, just to be a little bit transparent about it, if you make yourself too readily available, then every single day those live shows would be in greater or lesser demands depending on the topic. So sometimes the live show would be great and sometimes it wouldn't be. Well, it can be consistently good if it's every Thursday. Because if you really want to hear me talk about Pokemon, well, you're going to show up on that Thursday, right? If you really want to hear me break down the profitability of Purple given an ex-employee's commentary, well, you're going to be there that Thursday. So we would get a larger swath of people and probably have better discussions than like every single day being like, all right, let's do an AMA, let's do a live thing after live thing after live thing after. It starts to dilute itself, if that makes sense. Outrageous recap Q&A. Have you tried Genshin? It's a pretty nice iPad game. I think Genshin looks great, and I know, and I get why people like it. I actually thought Genshin Impact looked pretty cool, but I couldn't bring myself to play it, knowing what I know about gacha games. I was like, I can't bring myself, to play it. So I never touched it. So if the Presents video is in between the two live shows over here, then you could get your chat on in the next game stream. Well, I don't want to do that. SNTR Gaming is very pure. It's very pure. We are covering a crazy, like, very, very much variety amount of content, and I don't want to corrupt that with, like, purple platform drama or people getting banned or any of that other stuff. Like, if you look at the smattering of our recent content offerings over here, it's amazing, right? It's amazing, right? You got Take Two by Zynga. It's not doing that well as a video, but maybe it'll do better as a VOD. That's why we're getting ready. We're going to jump ship on this topic a little bit earlier than normal and head over to the next stream a little bit earlier than normal because it's kind of a non-starter. We thought it was a big topic, and it might just not be well-known news enough, and so maybe it'll do better as a VOD. But you got Lost Ark, New World, Halo Infinite, Elden Ring, Nightingale, Horizon VR, Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2 leaks. There's 2 Halo Infinite streams. Cyberpunk, New World again, Square Enix with the NFT outrage. There's Halo Infinite custom games and Sekiro gameplay. Elden Ring. Scroll down a little bit more, and then here's more variety. Elden Ring, Horizon Forbidden West gameplay breakdown, Mass Report bans in New World, Final Fantasy, Ashes of Creation, Star Wars Eclipse. There's Lost Ark again. You see what I'm saying? Like, this channel is very, very pure. It's variety gaming news coverage, and obviously topics vary in support and popularity and viewership. Sure, but I don't want to start coming over here and breaking down, purple platform drama or, Dr. Disrespect thinks he could have saved Mixer. Well, we'll save that for Presents. Like, that belongs over there, What about doing it on Mondays? You could cover what happened the previous week, and it would give you a chance to cover anything that happened over the weekend. Yeah, Mondays might make the most sense, then just Thursdays does feel kind of random. Monday might make the most sense. It does. Fridays is a little bit too full to do it on Friday, to be like, let's break down everything that happened, because Friday tends to be a day where we're doing From Friday, we're doing Sekiro. This week we're going to go 3 wide because God of War launches on PC, so we want to make sure and give ourselves plenty of time to do that. Well, Fridays are going to get jam-packed a lot of the times, and that's not going to be a good day for me to, like, kick over to Presents and do an AMA. Or a live show. Still voting for Lost Ark Fridays? You might as well stop and maybe just don't bring it up ever again. We've heavily invested in something, and your input is helpful sometimes, but when it's repeated and rejected, it's just foolish. We're not going to change a business strategy because you want Lost Ark Fridays. Lost Ark will get plenty of coverage here, but From Fridays have been and have turned into our most successful day of the week. So it would be
genuinely stupid. I mean this. It would be stupid for us to be like, let's just jettison that 6-month plan and do Lost Ark Fridays. It doesn't make any sense. It doesn't even sound good. Didn't mean to derail chat. No, it's fine. We're not talking about the topic anyway. I make us stay on topic for about an hour, because if anybody goes and decides to watch the VOD, then the VOD will at least be a healthier VOD. If at least for the first hour we stay on subject. We have 2 pretty good topics for tomorrow already, it seems. I'm not going to tell you what they are, but I've grabbed 2 topics that'll probably be pretty good. We're trying to swing a little wide, and we're learning some lessons. I think we're still in a lane where we can't step out of that lane too sharply, and when we do, we don't get the greatest results. So. Not to mention, Lost Ark's probably going to find a place on multiple days on this channel. It can't have Fridays. Fridays belongs to From. Right. Niche genre. What's niche? You think From Software is niche? Yeah, well, our From Software coverage, whether we cover Elden Ring or play a game or talk about something with From Software, always does significantly better than anything else. Now, Lost Ark gameplay did exceptionally well because it's new to the West. It's new to this market, and so that's why we're going to heavily invest in it. But, you know, your idea about what's a good idea and what's not is genuinely not going to really land on what we're doing, because we've been planning this and doing this for like 8 or 9 months. So showing up late game and giving your input, I mean, I don't know. I'm trying not to get annoyed, but it's a little annoying to have sideline input from somebody who has no idea what we're doing or how it works or why we've made the decisions we've made. Over the course of the last 8 or 9 months, we've had to do a lot of drastic and painful and hard things. So with respect, just drop it. From Fridays has been so good. Yeah, it has. It has. So, you know, it has. It's been really, really enjoyable to cover Elden Ring and to dive into a game. So, you know, I think the way you talk to your viewers is why your numbers are dropping. You're insanely condescending to anyone who says something you don't like or agree with. Sure, yeah, channel growth's been great. All of our numbers are up, but sure, you can make that sideline passive swipe at my character, and at the same time, you can never come back. He brought this up the other day. I said it was a bad idea. I said that we would regularly invest in Lost Ark, and he's brought it up again today, and I'm telling him why it's not a good idea. And you want to take a swipe at me? Fine. Leave and don't come back. I don't need your viewership. I've been doing just fine without, you know, douchers like you in the chat. I smack people like you whenever you show up, and the channel growth's been just fine. I hit 10K subs without people like you, and I'm certainly not going to grow to the next threshold of subs on this channel with people like you, because I smack you and send you out the door. You're not worth my time. You're some sideline judgmental doucher. Like, I don't know. I don't need people like you. I do just fine without you. I'd rather have 50K people that enjoy me for who I am than 100K people that I have to walk on eggshells around because they're so sensitive and so fragile that, like, if I tell them their idea is bad, they're gonna go cry to mommy. So, I don't know. Find a chat that strokes your ego, because I'm not gonna do it. Team Dark Roast is the only one that dissolves in water. Buy 2 bags and get the third for the low price of 1 bag. There you go. Stalker 2, Heart of Chernobyl being delayed to the fall of 2022. Yeah, I mean, I don't expect... This is something we haven't talked a lot about yet, right? We haven't talked a lot about the fact that, like, 2022 has not really gotten up to steam yet. I mean, a lot of these games might be getting delayed. March and February are jam-packed full, and I could see a ton of those games getting booted to the summer or the fall, you know? Ton of games getting booted to the summer or the fall, you know? I appreciate you saying that, Insanity. Berate me, Daddy, put me in my place. Yeah. When is Trash Parrot coming back? Oh, I don't know. We'd have to, we got to unlock the next one. I think the next emote unlock is at like 500 members, and we will, I think people were asking for Lono Sip. Yo, to Bomb Dog renewing that membership, getting that blue badge. Welcome back to Bomb Dog. You're itching for Horizon? I mean, we know at this point that, like, Horizon and Elden Ring are, like, locked in launch dates. They're not moving. I don't think they're going to move anywhere. But I don't necessarily think that the other titles that are sort of on the periphery, I don't think they're as locked in. I don't. I think there's a high probability that we see lots of games get booted to the fall and holidays, because I think a lot of games got booted out of the end of 2021, and there was just the assumption that we'll be able to launch early 2022. But you got to consider the holidays, and what's the holidays do? Well, the holidays have people traveling and taking time off. Holidays tend to spike the numbers of people, that aren't feeling well, if you catch my drift. And so when those numbers do what they do, it tends to affect everything. So there's a high probability that, a lot of the games we're setting our sights on and looking forward to are going to get kicked to summer and fall, which is fine. Spread them out. I mean, that makes it better for gaming experiences anyway. Like, do you really want 9 games launching in the span of 60 days? And you're like, well, I can buy 2, that makes it tough. All good. I can take it. I enjoy the content regardless. We've done this thing for the past 8 or 9 months, and we've kind of moved beyond people being like, I think you should do this or da. When something's established and structured, that input's just not helpful, and it's not welcome either. Like, I didn't ask people, do you think that I should get rid of From Friday, right? But I did ask for input. Yeah, we're trying to think of a way to do a live show once a week over on Presents. Well, then we're having a conversation about structure and logistics and how often we should be streaming and blah, blah, blah. Sure, like in that environment. But with From Friday or, that'd be like somebody coming in and be like, I think you should play New World every afternoon. I'd be like, what? No. Like, we've been going 2 talk show wide for a while now, and I really enjoy it. Gameplay has definitely taken a back seat. It'll get a fairer shake if you've been looking for gameplay. It'll get a fair shake in the months ahead, for sure. But there's a difference between like asking for input on like, hey, we're thinking of doing this thing, and it just got really taxing from March to now, having to have people tell me that like it's my fault, or I'm the reason things aren't going well, or just a lot of passive swipes at my character and a lot of victim blaming. And generally when people take that posture, not you weren't doing this, Willie, but generally when people take that posture, I think that they're probably a disgusting person, so I end up giving them a quick exit. It's like, why would anybody want to interact with you? You seem pretty nasty. like you don't seem like somebody I would ever want to spend time with, so I tend to kick them out. And so when it starts to feel like people are coming back in and questioning our decisions or ideas about what we're investing in, I'm kind of like quick to stiff arm it. Like, we're not messing with From Fridays, man. From Fridays has been killer for us. It's been a bastion of meeting new people. I think some of our greatest amounts of new community members have come from Fridays. I really do. I think they have. Like, the From Software fans are, y'all are a little crazy and a little weird, but you're ravenous and you're loyal, and I think those are good qualities. Thanks to From Friday, I jumped into Sekiro. I just got to the Drunkard, and I feel like I want to quit gaming for forever. It's going to be hard to play Elden Ring and this other thing at the same time. Yeah, well, I don't have to worry about that. I can play a brand new amazing game and not worry about any of that. So, stop being nice. Roast everybody. Yeah. Hey, Lono, do you think you could start playing New World in the afternoons? No, I don't. I can't scroll anymore in YouTube chat. They did something. I have to grab the bar to scroll up. It's like it's not letting me do it. We resemble those remarks. That's right. Hey, come on, we're not that weird. There's a spectrum of weird in the From Software community, right? There's a spectrum of weird. Some of you to greater or lesser degrees. What Star Wars Hunters? Star Wars Hunters gameplay trailer released like, I think a month ago. I don't know. It's slated to launch 2022, and it is a mobile game, but will also be landing on the Nintendo Switch. It is a sort of a battle arena game with modes similar to Overwatch. So, and it's third person. So you'll pick like a bounty hunter or a Jawa. Well, the Jawas is actually two of them, and they stack on top of each other. It's kind of funny. And you'll go and do like an escort game mode or something. And so Zynga getting purchased by Take Two, I hypothesized that I hypothesized that was part of the equation. That they knew they wanted a mobile game company. And in looking for one, they found one that was building a Star Wars game. And Star Wars property is really, really hard to own right now. It's hard. Like, between Disney and EA, it's very, very difficult to have anything with respect to Star Wars. So I think that was probably, it's like two Star Wars in a trench coat. That's exactly what it looks like. It's exactly what it looks like. It's comical. It's comical. And then there's like a big Wookiee, and then there's a bounty hunter, and then there's like a Jedi. There's somebody that looks like she's kind of supposed to be like the female version of Han Solo. She kind of looks like kind of like an outlaw, kind of like a smuggler or something. That is, I don't understand. We're getting, well, I guess it's just a problem. I think today, like, it's not on YouTube. I think it's just not very many people care about this kind of stuff. So when I searched for this last night, like Take Two buying Zynga, it was mostly like financial analyst channels. A lot of the big gaming channels might cover it, but there didn't seem to be very many gaming channels jumping on it. So that might be part of the problem, You guys, by the way, have been stellar. Like, I'm more looking at... So we haven't been super transparent about this, but what we're attempting to do is we want to have regular games that we cover. So for fans of Halo Infinite, New World, Lost Ark, Elden Ring, take hope in this, that those are regular occurrence coverage topics. I've got a good Halo Infinite one for tomorrow. Some stuff that's recently kind of emerged and rose to the surface. New World's probably going to get kicked to the curb for a little bit. We're hoping for maybe a big update or something. All eyes are on February. The worry and the concern right now for New World is that, like, Lost Ark's launching for free early February for founders and about halfway through February for everybody else. And if New World doesn't do anything, Lost Ark will kind of come in and kick the slats out for a lot of people. Not the entire game, but for a lot of us. Especially if you want, YouTubers and content creators kind of covering your game. That's actually can be very helpful for your game. And so New World might get, kind of shelved for a while. And then there's big games like, Horizon and Elden Ring coming, and we're kind of thinking through, like, okay, do we want to do a complete playthrough of Horizon? Is that even going to be possible? Are people going to support that and want to see that? God of War PC launches this Friday, so we're trying to navigate all that. And what we've been doing today, what we were doing is we were grabbing two titles or topics that were a little bit outside of sort of what we had been niching down into. And the dilemma, I think, with this is I don't think gamers are all that interested in buyouts or acquisitions. I think that's more interesting. You start talking numbers, you start talking shares and stocks and everything else. I think that's just more interesting to, like, financial analyst channels and stuff. So we're learning, we're experimenting, and this is a good month to experiment because January, everything kind of slows down. There's not tons of gaming news. It's all going to start to kind of swell over the next couple of weeks leading to February. And so, yeah. He won't listen to me, so maybe you can answer for him. Marcus Smart wants to know if you do game reviews. What's good, JB? It's not, I don't think it's that I don't do game reviews. I think it's that we don't necessarily, we do and we don't. So, like, when Horizon Forbidden West comes out, the very next day I'll give you my first impressions. When Elden Ring comes out, the very next time I stream, I'll be giving you my first impressions. But, like, a skill up or a methodical, systematic, lengthy breakdown review, I don't tend to do those types of videos. I just don't. If you're tuning in for the Take Two by Zynga announcement, or you're worried, you're curious about Star Wars Hunters, be sure to chime in the chat and let us know. We've got the poll at the top of the chat. Curious who would actually play that game, given that it launches on iOS, Android, and the Nintendo Switch. But I don't do like the deep dive. I don't do the deep dive reviews. I don't. Now we're looking into having a channel that will be able to regularly create like, oh hey, here's quick gameplay looks. The difficulty of like a really, really in-depth review, number one, I don't do it. Number two, I don't really want to do it. And number three, that requires me to play an entire game. So the audience would have to change dramatically in what they tend to support. We're not necessarily known for exhaustive gameplay. We're more known for talk show environment. So the challenge would be if there isn't support for complete playthroughs. Like if the support isn't there for a Horizon Forbidden West playthrough, I can't give you a full review because I don't have time to play it. I either play it live with you or I generally don't play. That's it. So some of it's up to the audience. Like, are we going to get to a point in February where there's enough people and there's enough support and enough intrigue and interest to where, hey, look, man, if you crack through this game over the next 2 weeks, you're gonna get great support and it's not gonna be terrible for the channel, right? You have to make those decisions as a YouTuber. I can't sit here and dig my I can't like dig my heels in and be like, all right, let's just do this. Let's just play Horizon Forbidden West for 2 weeks if it's terrible, if it's performing terribly. Does that make sense? So like we stopped doing New World gameplay in the afternoons. Why? Well, it wasn't performing well. I wasn't having a particularly great time anyway, and it wasn't performing all that well. What was performing well? Well, the talk shows were performing well. So, all right, well, let's just start doing more talk shows. There's lots of gaming news. There's lots of things we're missing out on if we're making sure we do, gameplay in the afternoons. So that's just kind of our take on it. I need you playing everything because I don't have time to. Right. For what it's worth. Sure. Yeah, JB works with a lot of these big names, and so in the NBA. Yeah, I mean it's. The challenge is there's only one me. There's only one of me. If we could clone me into like 3 people, there's like 4 different channel projects that we think would be so good and so amazing, but we just don't have time to dedicate to it. You know what I mean? If I could have cloned myself and had me running Repeat Theater, then I think Repeat Theater would have been a flourishing channel eventually, because there's no shortage of stuff to cover, from the Disney stuff to the Wheel of Time to the to all of the stuff on the horizon. It could have been a very successful channel, but like you need one person fully dedicated to a lot of these ideas for them to go well. And so I love the idea of doing like full game breakdowns and full game reviews. But again, we didn't even get to play through the Halo Infinite campaign because I saw the interest not being super strong. And at the time, there was tons of other gaming news to cover. And I was like, we're primarily a gaming news show. We're not primarily a full playthrough gameplay channel. I think there's a place for those, right? I think there's places for those, for people to be like, hey, I want to see a game from beginning to end in like little hour-and-a-half segments. There's plenty of opportunities for channels like that. I just, at this moment in time, that just doesn't square with what we do. Especially if you're going to niche down. Like niching down into New World or Lost Ark when it comes out, or playing Elden Ring a bunch, that doesn't really work, because then it's like, well, those are games that you're not necessarily playing through in like a linear fashion to where, oh, I'm going to go back and watch Lono's playthrough of Lost Ark. No, you're not. That's not a thing, right? It's more of a live service MMO game, so you're not going to be able to do that. So, such a shame. It's the best campaign since Halo 3. I've heard really good things about the Halo Infinite campaign. I was kind of bummed. That I couldn't get more into it. So, and play it all the way to fruition, because that could have been really, really fun. I was having a good time. There are many playthrough channels, not many gaming talk shows. That's another point that is well made, Jin. Whenever we go to look to see like, oh, who else is covering these gaming news topics? Because sometimes I'm like, all right, what's trending? What's YouTube talking about? Dude, there's almost nobody doing this in an intelligent way. I mean, you'll see those fly-by-night reaction channels or those little shorts where they're like, doing like a really quick video. But it just isn't the same. Like, there's not very many channels that do what we do, so I'm trying to carve something out that I think number one, I really enjoy doing. And number two, there's not very many channels doing it. And the ones that do tend to do uploads and not live, right? Like what we do is is similar to what Yang does, but Yang just does uploads. So, yo, what's good, Snow? Is gaming news for adults, right? And I think there's a huge opportunity there. I also think there's a huge opportunity, with the other channel, with Presents, to be doing like industry esports news, like what's going on with Purple, what's going on with esports, what's going on with the doc, what's going on with these people getting banned. That's newsworthy stuff that we're covering over there. So I like it when you play the game while you're talking, like back in the Destiny days. It's stimulated. Right, and I think there's room for that. I think it's got to be the right game, though. We definitely got there with New World. I would just be kind of roaming around, doing stuff, and talking to you guys. But the further we got into the leveling, it just became really, really difficult, right? Butt sword emote has been made. That is, no, we can't do that, because that does not look like what I was envisioning. I was envisioning it being like a bee stinger, not something that's like literally shoved into a rear end. There are vid channels, but very few live shows. Right. Yang is just Reddit's most popular gaming news and video format. Maybe. You bring more personality to everything. Yeah, I think we've got a winning format. I think if you look at everything we did in December, you can see that as long as there's relevant stuff to talk about, we will be just fine. We will be just fine. December proved that. Like we came over here in September, and virtually all of December was variety, just grabbing random topics that we thought were relevant, based on what we were seeing from all the gaming news outlets, and it was really, really good. And, go look at some of your favorite YouTubers. Not every video is going to be within the spectrum of performance that they'd like to see, and I think we're seeing that right now. Like, whatever is going on YouTube with the interest in this topic, it just isn't there. It's not our fault, certainly. I mean, when almost 300 people show up and most of you are existing subs, then we have nothing to worry about. We have nothing to worry about. There are really, really big really, really big YouTubers that struggle to pull more than 250 viewers because they're not known for live streaming. So with a channel as small as this one is, like, you guys have been incredible in your support, So I'm mainly saying, like, this topic just didn't go anywhere, and that's nobody's fault. It isn't. It's just the YouTube audience doesn't care about Take Two buying Zynga. They don't. They care more about games. And I thought maybe putting Star Wars in the thumb and grounding it in Star Wars Hunters, maybe we should have made today about Star Wars Hunters, and it might have done better. Who knows? It's an experiment, man. It's an experiment. You're trying to predict what people are going to want to hear the next day. Do you know what I mean? It's like, I don't know. It was a hot story yesterday afternoon, and sometimes too, if you're too early, you won't get any views. You're too early. Now, if you're gigantic, you want to be as early as you can. So if you have like 1 million subs, you want to be on the ball as soon as you possibly can, get that video out. Why? Because you have insane reach. When you're small, sometimes you have to wait. You can't be jumping on something right away because everybody Now we jumped on the Pokimane. I almost said that the wrong way. We jumped on the Pokimane story on Saturday as quick as possible because I was like, holy crap! Like, she got banned Friday night, and I was like, well, we need to make a video about this tomorrow. And then this morning I got up and recorded the Disguised Toast video. Why? Well, because it just happened last night. So we're in a great position, I think, for me to grab stuff that's happening, make a good video, do a good live stream about it, and sometimes it won't hit, it just won't. I think yesterday's video about the Purple platform and people asking for a greater sub percentage and how the platform's not profitable because their biggest streamers are actually not making them money, I think that's probably one of the most important videos I've made, and yet we didn't know what to title it. It was like, what are you going to title this? Like, Purple's not profitable? I don't know. And so the agility for you to respond to things has gone up compared to 6 months ago for sure. Oh, yeah. we are in a position that we weren't in. See, a while ago, I didn't understand. I didn't really have the funnels. I really didn't have the view. I really didn't have the structure. Now we've got structure. And once I've got structure, just fill it with just, here's a topic, boom, do, we go. Here's a topic, boom, do, go. Somebody got banned. Somebody said something stupid, you know. Doc thinks he could have saved Mixer. Like, E3 might not be happening. Wham, here's a video. So I'm very excited. But just be warned. I might start being a little bit more transparent when, hey guys, this topic's not hitting, let's just go to the next one, right? And I think that's fair. I think it's fair. We're in a live environment, and I have that luxury. Like, when you upload a video and it's not doing that well, you're like, oh, well, on to the next video. I'll just, I'll on to the next topic. And as a live streamer, typically you don't necessarily have that luxury. Most live streamers are just going to go for 5 or 6 hours. But given that we're gaming news, just know that periodically we may do what we're about to do. We may get 2 hours in and I might say, it's not happening, guys. This one's not hitting. Let's go on to the next subject. And and the next one might struggle. And if it struggles, we'll do the same thing. We'll get 2 hours in, be like, hey guys, we had a good time, we had a good show, but let's move on. Let's move on to the next thing. We got a premiere over on Presents. And I think when you do that, something will grab, something will hit, something will do just fine. And then you just take some solace in that. You know what I mean? Video, you can only chain thumbs and tags. Yeah. Once it's uploaded. That's right. You can't do much, My friend's a big Armored Core fan. He's debating me about your thumbnail, so I'm hoping he tunes in. Why is he debating you about my thumbnail? Did I use bad imagery? I'm going to confess to you, I've never touched or played Armored Core. So I grabbed what I thought was a pretty cool picture. That's what I did. You think they should have permanently banned Pokey? No. I don't think they should have permanently banned her. I think that, so I'm going to give you guys 60 seconds because we got to shift gears to the next thing. Because my wife showed me their TOS this morning on copyrighted material. So the Purple platform, interestingly enough, they get out from under this by claiming that they don't hold the authority or the ability to say, hey, you're streaming copyrighted material, stop doing that, right? So because of that, they don't do anything unless a DMCA claim comes through. Okay? So that's what, so, and I argued against the stupidity of that yesterday. Okay? So let me ask you something, Purple. Do you own the rights to MasterChef? No. Okay. Does XQC own the rights to MasterChef? No. Who does? Fox. Okay. So you don't have to wait for a DMCA to come through. You know that he has no right to stream it. So I think they're impotent in the way they have it set up. They look weak. They look weak and stupid, okay? YouTube doesn't allow this to happen. They're not going to let you do it. Here you go. We're going to react to Star Wars. You wouldn't even get 10 minutes in. Ludwig streamed and had Baby Shark playing and got shut down, right? Like, YouTube understands the volatile nature of not having oversight over copyrighted material being redistributed. They understand it, and they have systems in place. Purple doesn't. So what's Purple do? Well, we don't have the authority to do it. You can't see somebody streaming Home Alone and know that, like, hey, that's against the rules. You can't do that. So think about it from this perspective. This is how stupid it is. This is how absolutely brain dead that company is, and their TOS is just so incredibly stupid. So their TOS states that you are not allowed to stream copyrighted material. And then in the next breath, in another document, they say that they don't hold the authority to determine whether or not something is a breach of copyright, so they only take action if a DMCA comes through. Oh, what? Well, then why even have the thing to begin with? Just say, listen, if a DMCA comes through, we'll take action. Why is it against TOS then? I'm with Purple on this one. It's not their job to make determinations about IP ownership. What if it isn't clear? What if they are wrong? Right. And this is why YouTube automated it. Because they didn't want to do that. Like, I could understand if someone was streaming like some random cartoon and you're like, we don't know who the rights holders are, so we're not getting involved. But when they're streaming something that a simple Google search, when your largest streamers, XQC, Disguised Toast, Pokimane, your largest streamers are streaming something that a simple Google search will answer your query, your inquiry, are they allowed to stream this? Do they have the right? No. What do? You delete the VODs and you tell them to stop it. You say, what? Stop that. You don't have the rights. All you got to do is reach out and say, hey, XQC, hey, buddy, can you show us distribution rights? Do you have the distribution rights to MasterChef? No? Okay, well then quit it, and you delete the VODs. Like I said, they look impotent. These are your biggest streamers. If these were offshoot little teeny streamers with like 10 views, I'd be like, I don't expect you to police the entire platform and find these tiny little baby streamers streaming copyrighted material. But if someone's streaming Marvel's Avengers or a UFC fight, the frick are you doing? You're just, it's not up to us. It's up to them. Okay. Open season then on the platform is what that states to the public. Just do whatever the frick you want. They're not going to take you down. It doesn't fall under their purview or their authority. They're going to wait for the DMCA to claims to come through. This means little fly-by-night crop-up sites could appear where you just, hey, we're gonna stream this UFC fight on some random account. What are you going to do? Using, all you got to do, use like a VPN and some random account. You know what I mean? I guarantee you part of YouTube's system has to deal with not taking off large copyright holders that host content there. Twitch doesn't have that concern. Not yet, they don't. Hey, somebody ordered some coffee 3 minutes ago. 1 bag of the Frickmas blend to Solid Snake. Thank you so much. Thank you. 2 coffee orders for the day. They don't have that concern, so they wait. Right. Listen, I get it. From a principled position, Eugene, I get it. We can't comb over the entire site and determine the copyright holders of all this work. Fine. We're talking about XQC, Pokimane, and Disguised Toast. Disguised Toast is under an exclusivity contract. You're not going to interact with him differently. XQC is your most watched streamer 2 years in a row. You're not going to interact with him differently and say, hey, we did a whopping 5 minutes worth of research, and you don't appear to have the rights to distribute this television show. According to our TOS, we're issuing you a warning to stop, and we've deleted the VODs. Why? Because you're clearly breaking the rules. Like, it's in our TOS that you're not allowed to do this. We did 60 seconds of research on Google, and you don't have the rights to this. Ergo, you're breaking TOS. Therefore, you're getting reprimanded for it. They know and they flaunted what they were doing. Right. Listen, I'm here for it. When you run your platform and it's just laden with favoritism and rule bending and unethical business practice and backroom deals, this is the bed you've made. Really big streamers are like, what are you going to do? You're going to ban us? You need us. We're basically necessary, and at the same time, we're not even that profitable for the platform. Like, imagine being Disguised Toast and signing an exclusivity contract and like a month later being like, think I care? What do you think they're going to do to me? What are they going to do? Are you going to ban me? Oh no. I'll come back and make a ton of money. Oh, I'll shed tears and I'll dry them with the dollar bills of all the people that support me when I come back from my ban. Like, they're treating it like a joke, and I'm here for it. Justice comes in many forms, and this is no exception. This is a form of justice. When you run your platform like this and you passively or maybe directly tell people that they can bend the rules and do whatever the frick they want, well, now they are. Now they are. Here we are. Your most watched streamers just brazenly breaking TOS and making you look like a smacked rear end of the public. Just stupid. When I looked up their ages, it all made sense. They're not old enough to remember what the RIAA did in pursuing lawsuits. Yeah, I don't think they realize the size of these companies that could come after them. I don't think they realize. It's like the companies that can come after you, it's not like, oh, I got a 48-hour ban and then I can come back and make a ton of money. No, they'll sue you and you won't be able to survive it. They'll ruin you. All your money, all your worth, you think your estimated net worth is going to be able to go toe to toe with some giant media conglomerate? What the frick? You're too big for your britches if you think you're going to go toe to toe with like Fox or Disney or something. They'll shred you. They could literally go to prison? Yeah, like what are you doing? These companies spend more on coffee creamer in a year than they make. Like, you don't know who you're dancing with. You're not even really dancing with them. Who got sued? Nobody yet. ... Nobody, right? Nobody. ... Yet. Yet. Could anybody could get at this point. Any of these dum-dums that did it. Yeah, you also have tweets of them openly admitting that they knew what they were doing is wrong. They knew what they were doing was wrong. They knew they were infringing. You know how easy it would be to sue Pokimane? She publicly admitted she knew she was infringing and that consequences would come. XQC said the same thing. Hassan said the same thing. They're all saying the same thing. They've openly admitted that they knew it was infringing and that they knew consequences were coming. It's just, the lawyers at these companies are like, well, that's scrumptious. That makes it a whole lot easier to shred you. You literally admitted publicly that you knew it was wrong. Thanks. Like, no further questions, Your Honor. We have the tweets. Like, why get banned on purpose when you could just take a break? Because getting banned is good for business. Big PR. I'm making videos about it. Giant streamers are making videos about it. Media outlets are talking about it. My gosh, I opened up Facebook and saw an article about Pokimane getting banned. She probably came back and made more than she would have made if she didn't do this. I tweeted it last night. I said, folks are getting banned on purpose, flaunting their ability to break TOS, infringe copyright, and make more money as a result. Twitch is a rigged game of favoritism, and now the power abuse is openly in the hands of its biggest streamers. Justice comes in many forms, Twitch. You've abused your power for years, and now they're abusing their power in view of the public, and you just look like you're absolutely impotent in the process. No way to stop them. And if it's a true 30-day ban on Toast, I mean, I don't know. I have severe doubts that it is, but if it is, then maybe they're deciding to try to scare people into knocking it off. Because they're like, you're going to get hit for a month, and that's a lot of money. I don't think a month of your channel literally, because when you're banned, it's not like you can't stream. Your channel disappears. No one can find it or watch it. It's just gone, right? A month of that, I don't think you make that money back on your return. I don't think so. That's way too many streams, way too many hours. I don't think so. Pokey, sure, 48 hours, she came back, she probably made triple what she would have made streaming those 2 days. But 30 days, that's devastating to somebody that size. That's a lot of money. That's a lot of money that you lose. And then you're not going to make it back on your big triumphant return. Maybe you do, maybe you don't. I don't know, man. I don't know. She's crapping on her new business also. She launches a new company, RTS, to fix gaming and esports industry as the co-founder of new talent management and brand new consulting firm. How is she I don't know how is she crapping on her company. I don't understand. This is why we need a live show over there weekly. Get this picture up. Oops, that's the wrong one. Okay. Oh, openly breaking the law. Yeah, like what Eugene said last night is like, aren't advertisers going to start to be like, hey, like we're not really keen on advertising on somebody who just openly breaks the law. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, I don't know. I said it last night. I was like, you're gonna make the platform seem very risk laden, and advertisers, they don't like that. You know, they don't like when a platform is risk laden. It's like, we don't want to advertise over there. You remember the adpocalypse over here on YouTube? I mean, it is a thing. It's a thing. They're you know, they'll say like, oh, yeah, we're gonna pull out. We don't want to be a part of this. You know, it seems far too risky. All those dropped Prime subs. Yeah. Oops, that's not what I wanted. And the poll. All right. Solid turnout from you guys today, but this, sadly, this subject of Take Two buying Zynga is just a non-starter on YouTube. You guys have been stellar. The consistent support and the consistent numbers that we can rely on here, as we do so many different types of subjects and content, I greatly appreciate it. But when we have something that is just so clearly a non-starter, it's really, really good for us to keep the stream as short as possible. So don't go anywhere. We've got a From Software new game leak, and that's where we're headed next. I'm going to use the restroom really quickly, and then we're going to redirect over there, okay? I'll put the link in chat in case you want to head over early. Give me 1 second. I'll be right back. My kids are watching Tarzan. Tweet out the next stream. Send now. All right. All right, yeah. We're shifting gears earlier, about 30 or 40 minutes early, just because the Take Two thing was just not doing what we wanted to see. Hey, thanks for clicking on the video. This is going to be another episode of SNTR Gaming News covering a From Software new
game leak. If you haven't seen this, I'm not going to be showing the images because they are watermarked. I know they're in view of the public and the press has kind of covered it. They're not very good images, but we're not going to do that because I don't want to risk showing something that the company comes back later and says, hey, we don't want that in the video, or we don't want that out there. It's a little bit easier for an article to go back and take those images out. If you like From Software games, make sure and hit subscribe and the bell button. Every